Hi, Charissa Rubey here with The Country Road Less Traveled, and today we're going to make some salsa for you. Like I did with my pickle recipe, what we're going to do is I'm going to first give you a 60-90 second summary, and then we're going to get into the whole video so you can kind of get a glimpse of what the entire process of making salsa is going to be like. So what we're going to do is first we're going to start off with our product. So we've got our tomatoes, and I picked these yesterday. Got a variety. We got some heirloom ones that yellow. These ones are an heirloom too. The skins are incredibly soft, but they are delicious. Got some orange ones here. These are, I believe they're called a German stripe. These are really, really good. And what we're going to do, we're going to blanch them in a hot water bath. We wait till this is boiling. Throw the tomatoes in for 30, 60 seconds, something like that. Basically until the skins split. You take them out, put them in a cold water bath, and the skin slips right off. And then you can cut the top out of it and get the skin off of it. The other thing we have is our peppers and our onions. So you can see that my peppers, I just have a variety. I have little tiny bell peppers, and these are called sweethearts. I grew these this year. I got a couple of habaneros in there. I didn't have very many. I only have one jalapeno, maybe two. So, 3, woohoo, victory. But I picked these yesterday, so I just grabbed everything I could because I'm kind of running low on peppers. And then we have our onions. I just grabbed my white onions. They last not as long in storage, so I tend to use these sweet onions for a lot of my canning. They're delicious to eat while we're using them in the summer when they're in the ground. But when the season is done, I use them up first because they just don't last very long. All right, I'm going to go ahead and clean everything up. I will give you a little bit of an idea of what it is that I am not getting done today. I always tell you guys what I didn't get done during a day when I'm canning. So you will see that the vacuum is sitting out there. Kind of got a mess in the living room. Yeah, look at that. I thought about doing it. Yeah, the vacuum's out, but it'll just wait there for me. Maybe I'll just put it away. I'll go back in the kitchen now. We've got our tomatoes blanched, and you can see the skins just come right off. They just slip off, which is awesome. We're just going to dice those up and put them in a pot for the salsa. And then I've got all my vegetables mostly cleaned up. You can see I've got the habaneros just sitting here. They're incredibly hot. And so I'm gonna actually put on some latex gloves to cut these up. The heat of most peppers is in the membrane and the seed. So these habaneros, I'm actually gonna take the membrane and the seed out because I don't want all that heat, because these sweet hot peppers are a little bit warm. My fingers are a little warm right now from cutting them off. But I'm going to leave the seeds from the jalapeños because I want that heat, but the habanero heat is just a little bit much. So I'm going to hand chop these all up. I like nice big chunks in my salsa. So one of the most important things, of course, for making salsa is making sure you have all of your ingredients. So here is all of the ingredients from my cupboard. And here is my recipe. This is my own personal recipe that I've developed over the years. Everybody really likes it. I personally like it. It's a nice red sauce. It's nice and chunky. Here's all of my peeled tomatoes. I just scalded them, and then when I was able to peel the skins right off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my nice hand mixer. This way I didn't have to waste the time chopping the tomatoes up in little pieces. I'm just going to... helps if I plug it in. Okay, I'm just going to take this gun. I'm going to blend this up here. Saves me a ton of time not having to chop these up. And I do this when it's just tomatoes. You don't want to have your onions and your bell peppers in there. If you do like a really fine salsa, if you like it where everything's all blended together, wait till after you put the peppers and your onions and everything in and then blend it up. Everybody likes different salsa. I like it chunky, so I'm just going to blend up my tomatoes. We're just going to dice up all of these vegetables. I've been told before that it's terrifying to watch me with a knife. I never quite understood until I started making these videos and I watched myself. I'm probably lucky I have all my fingers. Not the most careful. I should be, but I'm not. Be more careful than I am with a knife. I have got everything mixed together here in my pot. I'm gonna let it cook for 10-15 minutes. Not gonna put the cilantro in till the very end, so I'm actually gonna take it off the heat before I put the cilantro in, or else it cooks down and it loses that beautiful green color, and I like it to have that fresh cilantro taste. I went ahead and tasted this and I wanted it a little bit sweeter, and so I added a little bit of sugar, and I also added a little bit more cumin. So when you get towards the end of the recipe, taste it. You guys know what kind of salsa flavor that you like. Add what you like. The primary ingredients are there to mix and match. I'm going to go ahead and cut up my cilantro, and what I do is I cut off all these ends. I don't need these, so we'll just throw those away. But all the little ends that are in here, they're just fine. Dice them up and throw them into your salsa. We are now done with our salsa. We have our nice big pot here. I'm going to go ahead and taste it. Perfect, just how I like it. So now at the end of this video, you can either take this salsa and you can put it in your refrigerator, it'll keep for a really long time, or we can can it up. We're gonna have a little bit of a bonus on the end of this video on how to can it up. So I'll show you all the equipment that you're gonna need. One of the arguments about salsa is whether it needs to be hot water bath or pressure cooked. I cook it in a pressure cooker because sometimes I keep it for a couple of years and I make a lot of it. There's a lot of vegetables that are not tomatoes in salsa, which makes it a lower acidity than straight tomatoes, which can be canned just in a hot water bath. I find it safer and I feel more comfortable doing it in a pressure cooker, but a lot of people make salsa in a hot water bath. I actually used to. I did it for 20 years. So it's only the last 5 years that I've started doing it in the pressure cooker. So whichever way you want to do it is fine. I'm going to show you the pressure cooker method. So here's what you're gonna need to can up salsa. I have pint-sized jars. I've even made quarts of salsa because people love it and they eat it up really fast. So we've got our jars. First thing you wanna do is I ran them through the dishwasher, and then you check all the rims to make sure there's no cracks or breaks in the rim, because then they won't seal up. I've got my lids. I have, I think 3, 6, 7 of the regulars and 2 of the larges here. I mix and match wide mouth and regular. I know some people like to use them for different uses. I could care less. I just grab whatever jars are available. You're gonna need your matching rings. And so we're gonna throw the lids into hot water. And then I've got my pressure cooker, and I've got about 2 to 3 inches of water in the bottom of it. That's all you need. And you need this little plate inside of there. It helps keeps the jars off sitting from right on the bottom of the canner, or else they'll rattle around and they'll explode. This helps keep them from rattling around from the bubbles that are generated from the boiling water. All right, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to take my jars and I'm going to fill them up with delicious salsa. And so I got big old chunks of tomato in there. And when you're filling up jars, fill them up, move that out of the way, to right at this fat ridge or just below. Because if you fill it up higher than that, then it'll bubble up and it won't seal. I'm gonna go ahead and finish filling up all of these jars. What we're gonna do, I have all my jars filled with salsa. I have just a paper towel and I got it wet on the end. And I'm just gonna wipe the top of these jars because we always get a little bit of sauce on that top rim. And we need to make sure to wipe it all off to make make sure that lid seals nice on there. So I got them all wiped off. Right? And I've got this water turned on. Ooh, that was loud. I've got that water turned on, so it's hot, my salsa's hot, everything's good to go. You take these hot lids and you put them on. Try not to touch the bottom side of them with your hands. They're all nice and sterilized. You can touch the sides and the top. I'm gonna put these lids on. And then after you get that lid on, a big one, and the jar is hot, so spin the ring on, and we're just going to set it right in the canner. So I'm going to go ahead and do all these and put everything in the canner. So I actually have, oh, I've got my canner backwards, I see. I'm going to spin this around. So I actually wrote on the front of it how many of each kind of jar fits. So I know I can fit 7 quarts and 9 pints. So that's what I've got in there. I've got 9 pints. And on the canner, I use the rattle variety. And so for salsa, you're going to need 10 pounds. So the weight by itself is 5, and 1 weight is 10. So we're just going to put that there and put it aside. And then we're going to take this lid, and we're actually going to put it on the canner. So it goes like this, and then you put this and you tighten it. Do not put the weight on yet, just leave it. So we're just gonna leave it, and we're actually gonna wait for this little guy to pop up. And then after it pops up, we're gonna let it steam out the top for 10 minutes. After it steams out the top for 10 minutes, then we put the rattle weight on. Once the rattle weight starts rattling back and forth, we're gonna put it for, let me look at my little cheat sheet for salsa. See how long we need it in the pressure canner. Pressure canner, tomato soup, which is similar, 20 minutes. Perfect. And so you can even see I have spaghetti on here in the canner because I've made spaghetti and salsa and everything in the canner. I just don't anymore because I read somewhere that it's not good because there's too much product in there that's not acidic and not tomato. So anyway, I'm going to do 20 minutes. And you can see I do meat and I do green beans. So meats take a lot longer. You can see they take like 90 minutes. All right, that's what the dancing weight looks like. You can see my stopper is up. That's actually going to prevent you from opening this pressure canner. It's actually a lock. And that's perfect the way it's dancing. So I'm going to start my timer for 20 minutes. I'm actually going to turn my temperature down a little bit. If the temperature gets too high, it just rattles more and more. If you hear it rattling too aggressively, just turn your temperature down a little bit. If it stops rattling, turn your temperature back up. As long as it's kind of rattling and for during that 20 minutes, you're going to have plenty of time in this pressure canner. And here it is. Here's the final product after we got it out of the canner. You see I only have 8 of the 9 jars here. One didn't seal, and I had a friend over for supper, and we sent the jar home with her. So we have these jars, and there's actually another set of 9 in the canner still. Pressure canner takes a little bit longer, but make sure that it's going to keep and store for a really long time. So gross. I was just washing my counter with this rag and it totally smells like onion, and then I smelled my counter and my counter smells like onion. So I think that rag needs a good wash.